Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's NCVER webinar, Getting to Know NCVER Data and How to Access It. I'm Martin Smolka, and this is my colleague Nicole, and we'll be presenting today's session. In this webinar, we'll be providing you with an overview of the different types of data that we have available and an introduction to some of the reports and tools that you can use to get the data that you want. After watching this webinar, we hope you'll have the information that you need to get started and be a lot more confident navigating the NCVER portal when you next need to get some data. Just a reminder that we'll be recording today's webinar, which will be made available on the NCVER portal shortly. Today we'll be using GoToWebinar. For those of you who are not familiar with this platform, I'll briefly explain some of the components. So to the left of the screen is the viewer screen, through which you'll see the presentation. To the right is the control panel, where you can select audio mode and ask questions. You can submit questions in writing using the questions panel at any time throughout the webinar, but for privacy reasons, only we can see your questions. And we'll acknowledge all questions either at the end of today's webinar or afterwards via email. And I'll now pass you to Nicole, who will present the introduction.
So NCVER is the national professional body responsible for collecting, managing, analysing and communicating research and statistics to and on the Australian vet sector. We collect well over tens of millions of records of vet student and training data annually, and we securely store around 3.8 billion records of vet student and training data. Registered training organisations and state training authorities submit all of this information to NCVER quarterly and or annually via our 4 statistical collections, which are the National Vet Provider Collection, the National Vet in Schools Collection, the National Apprentice and Trainee Collection, and the National Vet Funding Collection. All of NCVER's collections meet the Australian Vocational Education and Training Management Information Statistical Standard, or a VETMIS. Once this data is collected, it is interrogated and reported on across various statistical publications, reports and products, all of which are tailored to a wide range of stakeholders and audiences such as yourselves. NCVER aims to provide information that is relevant to your sector, industry and location, and provides different levels of tools to enable customization of data. Our data products and reports are produced with 3 levels of data users in mind: general, intermediate and advanced. Today we will be demonstrating our publications, infographics and some data visualizations covering some of the general and intermediate data products. NCVER also publishes in-depth research and statistical analysis, as well as high-level summaries and highlights. Based on our most recent published statistics, it is estimated that in 2019, 4.2 million students were enrolled in nationally recognised VET. This means that we estimate that just under a quarter of the Australian resident population aged 15 to 64 participated in nationally recognised VET. In 2019, government funding of VET totaled $6.4 billion, and the Australian government also provided $275.9 million for VET student loans. In terms of training, there were 2.7 million program enrolments, or 28 million subject enrolments, and all of this training was delivered across over 3,600 registered training organisations that delivered nationally recognised VET. The programs are reported according to classification reporting standards, for example, on field of education, industry, occupation and qualification level. Almost 236,000 school students were undertaking their training as part of their senior secondary certificate, and almost 265,000 apprentices or trainees were in training as at September 2020. Training can be undertaken across various types of organisations, such as TAFEs or private training providers, across multiple locations and within and across various delivery formats. To help you navigate this data and find the numbers that you are interested in, whether they be specific to a program or subject, funding allocations, completion rates, or perhaps you're interested in learning more about the types of students enrolled in VET and their satisfaction with the training, we're going to show you how to navigate to the statistics dashboard from the NCVER homepage. This is the NCVER portal, and if you click over here to the latest VET statistics, onto the right, this is a good page to start on for anyone who's trying to find the information they are interested in, and it's also a good time for Martin to take you through the VET collections and outputs.
Thanks, Nicole. So starting over here with the total VET students and courses, this is for students who undertook nationally recognised vocational education and training on a government-funded or fee-for-service basis that was delivered by Australian RTOs in onshore and offshore locations. And as we can see, there are 4.2 million students in 2019. Moving across to the right here, we've got the government-funded students and courses. So this is for students who undertook government-funded VET, which is defined as Commonwealth and state and territory funded training delivered by TAFE institutes, other government providers such as universities, community education providers and other registered providers, and we have 1.2 million students in 2019. Scrolling down a bit here, we have the VET in schools. So this is for school students who undertook VET as a part of their senior secondary certificate of education. Students can undertake school-based apprenticeships and traineeships or VET courses and subjects undertaken as part of the school curriculum. And in 2019, there were 235,800 VET in school students. And scrolling a little bit further down, we have the VET qualification completion rates, and this presents student completion rates for nationally recognised VET qualifications, and the data shows a 41.4% completion rate for qualifications that commenced in 2015. And I should also mention that we have completion rates data for other collections such as the apprentices and trainees as well. So starting with the total VET students and courses, I'll now demonstrate how you can access the data from the dashboard we're currently viewing. So if we click on this tile up here and then click on data products, you'll notice it takes us to a section where we've got products by different types of users. So you've got general users, regular users, and expert user products. And today we'll be focusing on the general user products. So I'm going to click on the total VET students and courses publication here. I'll scroll back up to the top of the report. So as you can see, this is displayed in a report style with a highlight section that provides the main points of what's happening at a national level. And we can see that there's 4.2 million students in 2019, which is a 3.2% increase from the previous year. While we're looking at this, you can see there's a print this publication button up here, and if you click on that, you can print the entire report. I'll now demonstrate some functionality within this publication. If we scroll down to the students and full year training equivalents section, and figure 1, we can see it's split by nationally recognised programs and subjects not delivered as part of a nationally recognised program. If I hover over 2019, you can see there's just over 2.1 million students enrolled in nationally recognised programs. You can also reduce the number of years within this chart. So if I click on 2015, 16 and 17, I'll just reduce it to 2 years if I want to use that for comparative purposes. There's also a download data button here, which exports the data into an Excel spreadsheet. And this can be used for your own analysis, for example, creating subtotals or creating your own chart for use in other reports. I'll just briefly summarize the different sections of the publication. If we scroll down further here, you'll notice we have data by funding source, also data by provider type, and finally we have nationally recognised program enrolments and completions. Right at the bottom of this publication, there's another link here to explanatory notes. And this provides detailed information about the report and includes things such as the scope of the data, how students are counted, and other important notes such as data revisions. Now, if I click on the download button up here, it'll take me to this section where I can download the entire report in PDF format. Terms and definitions are also available here, where they provide information about data terms of the publication, including definitions and classifications. The related items section here shows a media release, which is titled Vet Students Up in 2019. There's also total vet activity fact sheets, which provide more in-depth information about the data. And there's also an atlas of total vet. And the atlas is an online mapping resource that provides the information by geographic region. So if you need more control of the data and would like to add categories like gender or age group, or you're looking for a specific course or subject, you can access this information by using the DataBuilder. So we click on the DataBuilder link up here, and then click DataBuilder there. If we scroll down here, there's a how-to section. So we've already provided some video guides here. They're quite short, but they'll provide you with all the detail that you need to get started. Now, scrolling down here, this is the main data builder section. There's a number of different collections here: total vet students and courses, government funded students and courses, vet in schools, apprentices and trainees, and student outcome survey. We'll be focusing on total vet students and courses at the moment, and I'll be looking at building a table using the program enrollments data, searching for a specific program. So if I click on program enrollments, it will take me to the main data builder table, and you can see straight away it's given 5 years of data by default here at the bottom. And above that, you've got a number of different radio buttons which you can use to add different fields and data items to the table. So we're going to search for, we're going to add program name to the table, and as you can see, it's added all of the different programs, but we're going to search for a specific one today. So if you click on program name, it'll come up with this little search box here. Now you can search for either the program code, or you can do a text search of the program name. So I'm going to put in a code here, CHC 50113, which is the Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care. If I click on that, then this green confirm selection button, it filters the entire table just by that one program. We can add gender to the table, and then state and territory of delivery location to further expand. Now it's added states down into the rows here, and just to clean that up a bit, I can swap state and territory by clicking on it and swapping it with program name just to sort it a little bit better. Now once you've got your table built, you can export the data into Excel by clicking this green export button here. Or if you want to start again, you can use the reset button on the right hand side here. So what I'll do now, I'll show you some of the government funded data using the data builder. So if we scroll up again, we can click on government funded students and courses, and this time we'll look at subject enrollments. Now this time we can filter on the years. So if you click on the year box here, you can just select the years that you'd like to view. So we can pick 2 years there. And I'm going to add some information that's specific to subject enrollments, which is the delivery type. And as you can see, we've got in 2019 over 10.6 million subject enrollments, and over half of those are internal only delivery type. And now I'll show you some of the data from the Vet in Schools collection. So we'll click on Vet in Schools, click on Students this time. And again, we'll filter the year. So we'll just pick 2019. And we'll click on the level of education. And we'll add Indigenous status to the table as well. So what you can do at this stage, you can also swap your rows and columns. So if I click and drag Indigenous status to this side, it'll add them as rows, and I can click and drag level of education and it'll add those categories as columns. So I'll now briefly show you the products available for our VET qualification completion rates. So I'll take you all back to the latest VET statistics dashboard and scroll down here to VET qualification completion rates and click on that tile. Click on data products. And over here, you'll notice we've got two main products, a report in PDF or Word format and a data slicer in Excel format that gives you more control of the data, allowing you to customize and filter the information to your requirements. I won't be demonstrating the data slicer today because it's a slightly more complex product. So I suggest that you start out with the publication to get a better understanding of the data first. So we'll click on publication, click on download, and we're going to download this PDF of the VET qualification completion rates publication. So you can see this is in a similar layout to the total VET students and courses publication that I demonstrated before, although because it's a static report, you don't have the same functionality to click on charts and things like that. So I'm going to scroll down until we get to the main summary and first figure. So you can see here, you can get the completion rate, which is 41.4% for all qualifications that commenced in 2015. And if you look down here on figure 1, you'll see that for qualifications commencing in 2015 by level of education, the highest was certificate 4 at 47%, followed by certificate 3 at 44.5%. So that completes the sample of products on the VET side of things, and I'll now take you back to the statistics dashboard and pass it over to Nicole to talk about some of the other data and products.
Thank you. So onto the apprentices and trainees, or A&T collection. The collection and publication provides data on all persons employed under a training contract and includes both apprentices and trainees. Data are collected from the state training authorities, and records submitted covers a range of information, such as the people who have participated in an apprenticeship or traineeship training contract, all training contract transactions such as commencements and cancellations, each employer, each program undertaken as part of the contract, and each training organisation. As we can see here, the most recent statistics show that there were over 260,000 apprentices and trainees in training as at the end of September 2020. The December 2020 figures will be available in late June. Again, we break the A&T product down into user categories, general, regular, and expert. The publication itself is available under general users, presenting the key takeouts and high-level figures. So we'll click into there. Similar to the publications that Martin has demonstrated, the A&T presents the national highlights with links to the individual state levels here. As you can see, the A&T is presented in a very interactive and visually engaging manner. It is tailored to those who like to be able to visually see trends. However, data can also be extracted using the download data button at the bottom of each table here and here, for example. Users can toggle between contract statuses, so for example, commencements, cancellations, and completions. Both quarterly and a rolling 12-month time series are presented here, both the yearly and the quarterly here. The A&T data is typically presented with a comparison between trade and non-trade. State comparison infographics are also reported up the top here. I'll click into there. Users can compare contract statuses and trade and non-trade figures across jurisdictions. And again, data can be downloaded for each chart. For those who might be interested in learning more about the Australian apprenticeships and traineeships, there is a couple of additional products that I will show. Namely, the historical time series of apprenticeships and traineeships in Australia. We have some very high-level infographics available here. This infographic presents a summary of training activity in apprenticeships and traineeships in Australia between 1963 and 2020. These data are presented alongside economic and labour market data in order to put the training activity into context. There are also links to resources that give a timeline of the major policy changes affecting apprenticeships and traineeships in Australia starting from 1939, and that is available here. There is also a downloadable workbook containing all of this information available here. So if I go back, NCVER has committed to reviewing the accuracy and reliability of the estimation methodology. If you wish to learn more about this in particular, we release an estimates review dashboard every quarter, which is available here. Now, for those of you who wish to dive in and interrogate the ANT data, you can do this utilizing the DataBuilder that Martin has previously demonstrated. You can access this from all of the collection homepages. Martin has demonstrated the tool's functionality, but there are a few key differences here that I will quickly demonstrate. The ANT data is reported by training contract status, which you can see at the top, for example, commencements, completions and cancellations, withdrawals. Likewise, data is also presented either quarterly or yearly. Please note that in-training figures are at a point in time and are available with the quarterly presentation only. For example, if I select in-training and the year, it is not available. Further to this, in-training figures are not cumulative and therefore cannot be added to previous quarter's data like commencements can, for example. Various apprentice and trainee attributes, as well as the training contract attributes, are available at the top here. I will quickly produce an example. Perhaps you're interested in seeing the effect COVID-19 may have had on commencements. Let's select 2019 and 2020. And let's remove the December quarter from 2019. Let's see how commencements fared in 2020. We can see here that there was a decline from commencements from the September 2019 quarter to the September 2020 quarter, from 34,515 to 26,585. We could add in other variables to the table just for some context, for example. I'm going to take you back to the ANT homepage just to quickly show you where you can find the ANT completion and attrition rates. So again, back on the ANT homepage, here is the completion rates. Higher-level infographics and a downloadable report, as well as data tables, are available on this page. Users can access state and comparison and occupation, completion rates without going into the publication and at a very high level. And as an example of 2019 figures presented, we can see here that the overall completion rate, the individual completion rate, was 56.8% for those commencing in 2014. The completion rate for non-trade occupations was higher. As per the previous publications, data tables and support documentation is available at the bottom. Let's go back to the statistics dashboard. Now I'm going to demonstrate our national vet funding collection. Data from the National Vet Funding Collection provides information on the flow and distribution of government contributions that stimulate or support publicly subsidised vet activity in Australia. As you can see here, $6.4 billion was collectively spent by governments in 2019. The VET funding data has three distinct parts: jurisdictions, contributions and allocations, funding activity and distribution, such as the funding of VET student loans, and public VET asset base. If we click into the publication and scroll down to the data products, we can see a publication and associated data tables are available. If I click into the publication itself reports on government's contributions to VET, including the funding allocations across and between states. For example, here, users can toggle between years. The publication also reports on VET funding by VET activities and funding distributions across training, such as the VET student loan activity here. The report also reports on the value of public VET assets of property, plant, and equipment here. Explanatory notes and other support documentation is also available, as well as a link to the associated data tables here. Unfortunately, a DataBuilder is not yet available for the government funding of VET. So back to the stats dashboard. You may have noticed that there are some additional tiles on the dashboard. NCVER also undertakes various surveys, such as the VET Student Outcome Survey and the Employers' Use and Views of the VET System. The Employers' Use and Views of the VET System presents employee engagement and satisfaction with the VET system. It includes a random sample of 9,000 employers. The survey is run every 2 years and was first conducted in 2005. The 2021 survey will be published later this year. I won't demonstrate both of these surveys, but we will take a look at the VET student outcomes. It is derived from the annual National Student Outcome Survey and presents VET students' employment outcomes, further study outcomes, reasons for undertaking training, and their satisfaction with training. For example, here we can see that over half of VET qualification completers had an improved employment status after training. The 2020 survey also reported on the effect of COVID-19 on employment outcomes. If we click in here and scroll down to data products, we can see that again, a publication and DataBuilder is available with associated products such as data tables here. We click into the publication. It presents a high-level introduction, summary of the scope, and highlights. 5 student groups were surveyed: qualification completers and qualification part completers, short course completers and part completers, and subject-only completers. Results have been presented within 3 sections that you can see here. Clicking into the first one, for example, you can see commentary and infographics, all of which have downloadable data here, for example. For example, we can see that the main reason for undertaking a training was to get a job. 25.7% of qualification completers reported this as their main reason for undertaking training, whereas 22.4% of qualification part completers reported this as their main reason, noting that the margins of error are also displayed here. At the bottom, support documentation, data products, and a DataBuilder is available for VET student outcomes. I will quickly demonstrate the DataBuilder. The DataBuilder performs as per the previous examples, but with a couple of differences I will point out. So under here, student outcome survey, VET student outcomes. Estimates are automatically displayed alongside their margins of error. As you can see here, the estimate is 83.2 and the associated margin of error is 0.5. You can toggle between estimates and margins of error up here. I mentioned before that there were 5 student groups. They are available here or up the top here. There are various student demographic and training characteristic variables along the side. These are fixed, but you can remove variables here or search for categories in here. Where you can control the table and the data is using the drop-down menus or the buttons along the top. So all of these drop-downs and these buttons here. For example, at the moment, it is presenting year, We can change this to report by funding source, for example. Lastly, the student outcomes are presented here. And at the moment, achieved main reason for doing the training is the default setting. Let's do a quick example. I am interested in seeing the effects of COVID-19 on employment outcomes. So if I go to outcomes here and scroll down, I can select of those not employed after training, lost their job due to COVID-19. Only 2020 is displayed, and the text here is showing me what the current population is within the table. So it is restricted to qualification completers only, with all of Australia, all providers, and all funding sources. What this is telling me is that the qualification completers who are not employed after their training in 2020, 20.6% reported losing their job due to COVID. This has a margin of error of 0.3. Now you may have noticed when I opened this data builder under the vet student outcomes, there was also international onshore outcomes. International onshore outcomes for 2020 are also available in this data builder, with a publication suite accessible from the Student Outcomes Surveys homepage as well, which we will not go into today. Look, that covers all statistical collections and the majority of data products. However, we also mentioned we produce products for expert level users. Whilst we will not demonstrate these, we just want to let you know what they are and how you can access them. NCVER has a tool called VoxStats, which is accessible on the NCVER portal homepage. It contains all of our statistical collections, except for the national funding of vet, but also includes the vet student outcomes data. Access is free, but upon registration. VoxStats has video tutorials, user guides, and support contact details as well. The tool itself allows you to construct your own tables and has broader functionality than the data builders, as well as additional variables. Lastly, we can also produce de-identified unit record files. These are upon application only and require users to agree to a range of terms and conditions. Such files have been encrypted so that students and RTOs cannot be identified. If you are interested in finding out more, search for accessing vet data on the portal or refer to the link provided here on screen. You can also find previously published reports using VocEd Plus, which is also located on the portal homepage or via the link on screen. So that concludes the webinar for today. We hope you have been able to get the information you needed to get started. If you do have any inquiries about our data, please use the email address on the screen or call NCVER on the number provided. Now, we would like to open things up for some questions from the audience. Questions can be submitted in writing using the questions panel to the right of your screen. We have had a few questions come in already. Someone has asked when the next Total Vet activity or Total Vet students and courses will be publicly released. If Martin, you could please show that.
Sure. So what we'll do, we'll go to the portal homepage again. So I'll just click on this link. So from the homepage, scroll down until you get to a section called Recently Released. And under this section, there's a tile here which is called Upcoming Releases. So click on Upcoming Releases and then click on the data release dates in 2021. And that will take you to a full list of all the various statistical products that we're releasing this year. So as you can see here, we've got the Total Vet Students and Courses 2020, which is estimated for release the week beginning the 16th of August. If you scroll down a little bit further, you'll notice there's a subscribe to email alerts link here. So if you do subscribe to that, you will be notified when new publications become available.
Thank you. Look, we will have to wrap up the questions as we have just hit our time limit. We will reply to the remaining questions via email. Thank you for attending our webinar, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.